Hey guys, Danny here. I want to talk about gun violence. I want to talk about mass shootings. I want to talk about what we can do to make these harder to happen. I'll start with my actual opinion on this is that we can't prevent it. It's not something that we can stop, but it's something that we can make harder to happen. In life, bad shit's gonna happen, and it just depends. We have to handle it better. You look at these mass shootings. There's been 16 or 1,700 deaths just in mass shootings in the last handful of years. You have Parkland, Sandy Hook, Las Vegas, Orlando, just to name a few. But everybody that has done it, they've all had the same guns. But here's where our issue lies: is I'm not a gun person, okay? The Second Amendment, I don't want to say it doesn't apply to me, but it doesn't necessarily affect me in any one way or the other. So I take the middle of the road approach, which people don't seem to do, because you got the left-sided snowflakes that want to take all the guns, and then you got the right-sided snowflakes that go, don't take my guns. But there's no common middle ground here to where we say, okay, you know what? You might be right on this side, and then you might be right on this side. So how do we intertwine both of them so everybody's happy, instead of just saying, hey, a lot of people died, thoughts and prayers, rinse, wash, repeat. Another shooting happens, thoughts and prayers, and then so on and so forth, because this cycle it's continued long enough. And we need to figure out, how do we change this? People want to talk about banning guns, okay? Here's where the problem with that is bad people are still going to break the law. Laws are always broken on a daily basis in every aspect. So if you ban guns, the people that intend to use those guns maliciously are still going to find ways to get the guns. So banning a war on guns is the same thing as a war on drugs. It's still going to happen. It's still going to be out there. It's still going to be available at the end of the day, because the people that don't give a shit about the law don't give a shit about the law. So it's not going to matter. So putting all of our efforts into banning guns is something that's it's a waste of time. We need to, I don't want to say amend the Second Amendment, but we need to figure out how can we make it harder for people to just go out and buy assault rifles. Why is it quicker to get approval from your state legislator to buy an assault rifle or a semi-automatic gun or a fully automatic gun than it is a handgun or a regular hunting rifle? I don't get that. That shouldn't be the case. If you own a handgun, if you're a hunter, whatever. Like I said, personally, it does not affect me one way or the other in my day-to-day activities and in my life. But where I have the issue is this kid that bought the gun that shot up Parkland and killed 17 kids he legally bought the gun, which that shows that there's too many loopholes in it. Now, I don't care if you're an NRA supporter, if you're an NRA hater. To me, that doesn't matter. This issue is bigger than one company. It's bigger than the National Rifle Association. Innocent people are dying all the time, and we need to figure out how to make that harder. When kids go to school, the only thought of dying that should ever cross their mind is, oh shit, I didn't study for this exam. I want to die because I'm going to fail it. Not I literally am feeling like I'm going to die today because Johnny down the hall, somebody picked on him, and he might be a little sensitive, so he's probably going to bring a gun and shoot us all. Nobody should ever have to fear for that. You're supposed to go to school, you're supposed to make friends, you're supposed to learn, you're supposed to grow and adapt and mature into an adult. That's what school's all about, and I don't want to say that we don't have that anymore, but we have too many sidetracks like this that you just go, man, what's the deal? How do we fix this? One way people are saying, let's arm teachers. Let's not arm teachers, guys. Okay, teachers don't get paid enough, first of all, to be heroes. Teachers barely get paid enough to be teachers. Second of all, everybody wants to talk about mental instability and mental stability. Do we not hear on almost a daily basis now of some teacher slept with this student, some teachers Snapchatted nude pictures to this student, a teacher physically assaulted a student? Like, we hear this stuff almost on a daily basis. So if our middle ground is, okay, we need to take like a mental awareness test to purchase guns, half of these teachers aren't going to pass that shit anyway. So why does that matter? Arming teachers is not going to be the solution. It's not going to make it any harder because these teachers are just as unstable as these people that are shooting up the schools. So that can't be our solution, is to arm teachers. Well, you can't force somebody to carry a gun. Well, you want to make $30,000 a year and you want to teach these students. Well, you better go to the gun range and start practicing your target practice. Like that's not realistic. It's not. That's another thing that's going to be a waste of time. But it's at least a conversation that we need to have, instead of, well, you can't take my guns. I'm a law-abiding citizen. I've gotten my concealed carry permit. Well, you're going to take your guns because you don't need to have your guns. You don't need to, like, those arguments are dead and they're tired. They're not happening. Nothing's going anywhere. People die. We give thoughts and prayers. We argue. 48 hours to 72 hours later, everybody's forgotten about it. That's not cool. It's not. And then these kids that are talking out and they're at the White House today, and people are like, man, like, why are you gonna bash these kids? Kids shouldn't have to experience this. Let these kids express themselves. Who cares if they're against your guns? Let them express themselves. I want to see, how would you act if your kid got shot in school and died? How would you act if you're in college? Somebody comes into your college and they shoot up everything. You happen to survive, but everybody else around you dies. How would you act? You would want to speak out. You would want to express yourself. Just because these people's opinions differ from yours doesn't give you the right to be a dick and be an asshole to these kids that shouldn't have had to experience this tragedy this early in their lives. That's the end. That's the end of that conversation. Let these kids talk. Let them go meet President Trump. Let them talk to their state representatives. Let them try to figure out, hey, how can we prevent this from happening, or at least make it harder? Because everybody wants to talk about preventing things from happening. And until we realize that we can't prevent, we literally can't really prevent anything from happening, because shit happens. We can't prevent things from happening. We can only make it harder for them to happen. Let these kids talk. Who are you to judge children like that? If it was your kid, I bet goddamn well you would feel the same exact way as they do right now. Which brings me to my next point. Why is our society so soft? Why can't we? When I was in school, I picked on people picked on me, we joked back and forth, we didn't like each other, we liked each other, we wanted to fight, we didn't fight, and that was the end of it. I don't know a single person. I've never myself have had an issue so much with another kid that I wanted to hurt them, that I wanted to bring a gun to school and shoot everybody, that I wanted to stab somebody. I've never had that, and I don't know anybody else that's ever had that either in my generation. I'll be 32 here in June, by the way, just so we're clear on the generational aspect of this. I don't understand why parents can't parent anymore. And a lot of these issues, in my opinion, this is where they start at home. You can't whoop your kid's ass anymore. And I don't mean whoop their asses and send them to the hospital or make them bleed or bruise them or break bones. You can't even spank your kid out in public anymore. Why? I got spanked. I got a belt before. Like, my dad is probably one of the easiest going people in the entire world. But damn it, if I acted out, I was hiding under my bed because I was scared shitless about what he was going to do. I knew he wasn't going to physically hurt me, but I didn't want to get the belt. And I think that that's what helped me grow up to be respectful of others, to have a thicker skin. If somebody makes fun of me, you know what? Brush it off. I don't care. I'm going to do me. Do you? If it makes you feel better to make fun of me, by all means, make fun of me. I am a nerd. I read comics. I play video games. I watch cartoons. I watch wrestling. I don't give a shit. I am my own person. Everybody else needs to be their own person as well. I've never wanted to physically harm somebody. I've had road rage incidents where people will cut me off and I go, holy shit, like, yeah, I'm gonna hurt this person. If this person gives me if this person hits me because they're driving like an asshole, I'm physically gonna beat this person's ass. That's completely different. Which actually, since we're talking about cars, let's talk about cars here. Excuse me. When people talk about banning guns, a very big argument from people is, well, there's a lot of deaths by car accident. And nobody's talking about banning cars. So why aren't we talking about banning cars? And they say it in a sarcastic sense, right? We're not talking about banning cars, but people are doing things to actively try to fix the problems, which we're not doing with guns. In cars, you've got Bluetooth, hands-free talking. You've got GPS built in the cars, which is audible. So there you go. There's your directions. You're no longer staring at a car map going, "Oh shit, where am I going? Hold on, let me figure this out here. This is where I'm at, and I gotta get here." You don't have to do that anymore. We're not doing that. A lot of cars now, when you're connected to Bluetooth in your car, if somebody sends you a text message, it blocks that message until you turn your car off. Yeah, of course, there's ways around it, but they're trying to figure out how to make these things harder. Why is that any different? There's your whole argument with cars. Nobody's talking about banning cars, but people are trying to fix the amount of deaths. Will it actually change? Who knows? I'm sure it will eventually. I'm sure somebody's going to come around, but then people are going to cry, "I can't text and drive. I can't Pokemon Go and drive. I can't Facebook and drive." Like, tough shit. Pay attention to the road. Somebody else shouldn't die because you needed to send a Snapchat. You shouldn't be wrecking your car, driving into ditches, making other people slam on their brakes because you couldn't put your phone down for 30 seconds. Like, you're driving to work. It's a 20-mile drive. Okay, great. If you need to use your phone that bad, pull it out at a freaking red light. Let somebody honk at you because you're being a jackass at a green light now, and you're still on your phone because you're not paying attention to the light. Just let that happen. But they are making efforts into not having this happen anymore. But why aren't we doing that about guns? Why aren't we doing that about school violence? Why can I go to Dick's Sporting Goods and buy an entire cart full of bullets and nobody gives a shit? Like, to me, that's where my only issue with guns really, really lies, is how come I can go into Walmart or Dick's or anywhere. I can go into these places, I can buy 10,000 bullets and nobody's going to question me. That's a little weird, isn't it not? And I get the whole, well, these people probably make like $13 an hour, so they don't really care. I get that, because AT&T used to ask me to try to prevent fraud, and I didn't give a shit. I got paid to activate phones. I didn't get paid to be a detective. That was the moral of my story. Maybe we need to pay these people more. Who knows? That's another conversation. I want to hear your topics. I want to hear your counterpoints. I want to, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. I'm not picking sides. I don't care about left and right. I have my own. I'm down the middle. There's good things on this side. There's good things on this side. There's also bad things on both sides. I mean, that's the way I see it. Not everybody needs to see it that way. Anyway, drop your comments right below. I want to hear, how do you feel? How do you think that we can make these things harder to happen? Because we're not going to be able to prevent them. That's just, that's a moot argument. That's never going to happen. Bad people are still going to get guns. Bad people are still going to get drugs. People that don't care about the law aren't going to care about the law if we ban guns, and they're still going to get them. So how are we going to do that?